Today we're gonna rank every rogue to find out the best and worst career criminal in the game. We'll start with the rogues from the new player's handbook, some of which got some pretty wild changes, and then we'll do all the rest. Arcane Trickster. So first up, we've got the Arcane Trickster, the iconic spellcasting rogue. And the core spellcasting feature is basically the same, but better. You start with Mage Hand and 2 cantrips of your choice, and you gain spell slots as shown in this handy little table, eventually reaching 4th level spells at level 19. The big boost here is you can now pick from any wizard spells. They don't have to primarily come from the enchantment and illusion schools of magic. Shield, enhance ability, immovable object, shadow blade, haste, there's too many great options to count. Of course, the real power of this feature is probably grabbing the cantrip Booming Blade, which is a free upgrade to your rogue damage every turn. However, the new True Strike cantrip is a great option as well, letting you attack with your intelligence modifier and deal extra damage at later levels. This can let you go all in on intelligence rather than dexterity, giving you a great spell save DC for your wizard spells. At level 3, you also get Mage Hand Legerdemain, giving you an invisible Mage Hand that you can control as a bonus action. Yes, your rogue bonus action is already very taxed because of all the other stuff you can do with it, but this can let you steal things at a distance. It's fun. At level 9, you can Magical Ambush. While you have the invisible condition and you cast a spell that forces an enemy to make a saving throw, they make that save at disadvantage. Okay, we gotta talk about the new hide action now, because if you successfully hide while being obscured to an enemy by making a DC 15 stealth check, you gain the invisible condition. It's a simple tweak to the rules, and it means you don't literally have to be invisible to benefit from this feature, although you can cast invisibility on yourself if you want. More often, you're going to be diving behind cover, taking the hide action as a bonus action, and then letting loose a shatter spell, which all enemies have disadvantage on. From level 13 and upwards, combining this with Hypnotic Pattern is gonna be filthy. Mass Incapacitate with everyone making the save at disadvantage. And speaking of level 13, that's when you grab Versatile Trickster. Now, whenever you use the trip option with your Cunning Strikes, you can attempt to trip a second creature within 5 feet of your Mage Hand. Cunning Strike is a new core rogue feature that lets you trade out some of your sneak attack damage to incapacitate an enemy in another way. In this instance, you're trading off 1d6 damage to attempt to knock them prone. This feature is funny, but it's kind of trash. It requires that you're moving your Mage Hand into the right position every turn, which costs your bonus action, and you probably have better things to be doing. It also only works on large or smaller creatures, and it requires you to specifically use the trip cunning action when there are other options you might prefer. The real level 13 feature for Arcane Tricksters is 3rd level spells. This is very weak on its own. Level 17 is your capstone ability, Spell Thief. Whenever a creature casts a spell that targets you or includes you in its area of effect, you can use a reaction to force that creature to make an intelligence save. On a failed save, you negate that spell's effect against you. Sadly, it will still affect your allies if it's an area of effect, and you steal the ability to cast that spell. The target can't cast that spell for the next 8 hours, and you can. Except the spell has to be of a level that you can cast, and it can't be a cantrip. So that's 1st, 2nd, and 3rd level spells only, including 4th when you reach level 19. Initially, this sounds cool, but I actually think it's quite bad. If you could steal a spell of any level, maybe it could work. The bad guy casts power word kill, you say no, and you throw it back at them. That's awesome. But how many high-level bosses are still throwing around 2nd and 3rd level spells? Hell, they've even removed spellcasting from a bunch of bosses in the game now, so this feature in practice isn't gonna do much. Arcane Trickster starts off amazing, but its final 2 features do fumble a little bit. It's also worth noting that if you really want a cantrip on a rogue for the damage boost, you can just grab Magic Initiate as your free level 1 feat. Still, spellcasting slaps. This is a solid A tier subclass.
Yar, me hearties! Are ye tired of getting semen all over your poop deck? Do ye dream of sharing your hammock with attractive merfolk and dining on fresh kraken? Do ye want all the fun of a seafaring adventure without the seagull attacks and scurvy? Then ye best be checking out Sick, the pirate expansion to Dungeons and Dragons. Yar!
Sync is the ultimate pirate and tattoo supplement book for 5th edition, live now on Kickstarter. Over 200 pages of new mechanics and stunning pop tattoo inspired art. New subclasses like the Mistbreaker Ranger and the Spell Skin Wizard, making your own body your spellbook. Epic modular dungeons, over 50 magic item tattoos, and adventures to take the party all the way from 3rd to 10th level. Plus new mechanics like the lethal Soul Link system, where you can gamble your hit dice to save yourself from harm. The full campaign book Sync is out now on Kickstarter. Pick it up to dive into the epic waters of seafaring adventure. Link in description. Assassin. So Assassins have had one of the biggest reworks compared to their old versions, as we can see right away. Level 3, you get a new Assassinate feature, giving you advantage on initiative rolls, advantage on attack rolls against a creature that hasn't taken its turn in combat yet, and you get a boost to your sneak attack damage on the first round of combat equal to your rogue level. Advantage on initiative is nice, but 3 extra damage on the first round of combat is mid. It only really starts to get juicy when you reach like 7th level. You could argue this is weaker than the old Assassin Rogue feature, which guarantees a crit against a creature if you surprise them in combat. That feature was incredibly powerful, but if you didn't surprise an enemy, you got nothing. Overall, the new version is better, but less explosive. Then we reach level 9, where you get Unerring Mimicry, letting you perfectly replicate a creature's handwriting and speech if you spent at least 1 hour studying them. I like features that reward exploration and roleplay, so I like this. It also combos in a cute way with your disguise kit proficiency you got at level 3. You also get Roving Aim at 9th level, letting you use your bonus action Steady Aim feature to gain advantage on your next attack roll without reducing your movement speed to 0. Just as the Arcane Trickster got a feature that interacts with Cunning Strikes at 13th level, so do you. This one interacts with your Poison Cunning Strike, which trades off 1d6 sneak attack damage to potentially poison a creature on a failed Constitution save. Your level 13 Envenom Weapon feature adds 2d6 poison damage, which ignores poison resistance on a failed save. So you trade off 1d6 damage to use it, and if it works, you get 2d6 damage back. This isn't bad. The Poison Cunning Strike is one of the more impactful options, but many creatures in D&D are immune to poison altogether. Finally, at level 17, you get Death Strike, and this baby kicks ass. When you hit a creature with your sneak attack on the first round of combat, they have to succeed on a Constitution saving throw or the damage is doubled. And this isn't a critical hit, so it would stack with critical hits. And guess what? The new level 20 Rogue Capstone feature guarantees a critical hit once per short rest. That is a guaranteed 80 d6 sneak attack damage, which is fun. Sure, it's a level 20 only thing, but you can dream. All in, the new Assassin Rogue is a pretty direct upgrade on the old one, and it works well with the core Rogue features. It's also pretty simple to use. I'm putting it in low A tier. Soulknife. The Soulknife is a psionic rogue, the psychic counterpart to the Arcane Trickster. At level 3, you can manifest psychic blades whenever you attack, which deal 1d6 psychic damage on a hit and have the Vex property. The Vex property is quite nice. Whenever you hit a creature with a Vex weapon, your next attack roll against them has advantage. Your psychic blades have another feature. When you attack with them, you can make a follow-up attack as a bonus action, but that attack deals 1d4 damage, not 1d6. Thanks to the Vex feature, that bonus action attack will hopefully have advantage and thus trigger your sneak attack. It's not the most reliable sneak attack generator in the world, but it is a hefty 1-2 punch. There are, of course, other benefits to having psychic blades. You can appear unarmed for roleplay reasons and then pull a lethal weapon out of your brain. You can also bypass damage resistances with the psychic damage. But the important level 3 feature is psionic power. This gives you a number of psionic energy dice, which recharge on a long rest. You can also get 1 expended die back when you finish a short rest, and the power of the dice improves as you level up, sort of like Bardic Inspiration. From level 3, you can drop 1 to let you and a couple of allies communicate telepathically for a few hours while you're within 1 mile of each other. You can also expend 1 of the dice and roll it to add the result to any skill check. You are an incredibly reliable skill monkey with this, but your dice really start getting useful at level 9, when you can expend them to add the result to an attack roll, potentially turning a miss into a hit. When you do this, your psionic dice are only lost if you actually hit the creature, so there's no reason not to try it on every single attack. This is an enormous boost to your damage reliability. Don't sleep on it, and you can also expend a dice to teleport at this level as well. Level 13 lets you use an action to turn invisible for 1 hour once per long rest. The invisibility ends immediately if you damage a creature or force them to make a saving throw. You can do this again if you expend a psionic die, good for exploration or as a pre-combat buff. It's okay. Finally, at level 17, when you deal sneak attack damage to a creature using your psychic blades, you can force that creature to make a wisdom saving throw. On a fail, it is stunned for 1 minute, repeating the save at the end of each turn. This is incredibly strong. Stunning a creature for even 1 round is basically a death sentence, robbing them of their turn and giving all your allies advantage on all their attacks. You can do this once for free, and then you've got to expend a psionic die to do it again, but you've got plenty of those at this level anyway. Soulknife was arguably the strongest rogue in the game, and it's basically unchanged. But with the upgrades to other subclasses, it's hard to say if this one still holds the crown. The 1D&D rules have done a good job at balancing subclasses against each other. However, the way the Soulknife gives features to improve attack rolls, ability checks, exploration, and movement, and bypasses resistances, and can impart the stunned condition, all while staying pretty simple to use, just gets it into the S tier for me. But honestly, the space between S and A tier is pretty narrow these days. So unless the next subclass can beat the Soulknife, it is going to remain at the top. And that subclass is Thief. This iconic rogue archetype was kind of mid in the original PHB. Let's see if they fixed it. Well, at level 3 you get Fast Hands, letting you use a bonus action to make a sleight of hand check, to maybe pick a pocket or open a lock, etc. You can also use that bonus action to take the Utilize action on an object, and here's the new part, you can even take the Magic action to activate a magic item. And just like that, this feature went from mid to bonkers. You can activate magic items as a bonus action. That is a bonus action fireball from the Necklace of Fireballs. That is a bonus action 8th level magic missile from the uncommon item Wand of Magic Missiles. Bonus action blast enemies off their feet with a decanter of endless water. You can even use a bonus action to start pouring out 2 gallons of mayonnaise from the Jug of Alchemy. Action economy be damned. Features like this are impossible to evaluate because it depends on your campaign. What is the power level of magic items in your games? If it's high, this is incredible. Also, seeing as you're a thief, this is one hell of an incentive to run a few heists, if you want my opinion. Also at level 3, you get a climb speed, and you can jump using your dexterity rather than strength. It's okay. At level 9, you get a powerful feature, Supreme Sneak, which is a new Cunning Strike option just for you. At the cost of 1d6 sneak attack damage, when you hit a creature with an attack, it doesn't end the invisible condition on you if you end that turn behind 3/4 or total cover. That means repeatable advantage on all your attacks, automatic sneak attack, all the other benefits of being invisible, while keeping your bonus action free for whatever broken fast hands nonsense you're cooking up. It also encourages you to interact with your environment, diving behind cover and generally bringing the world to life. I love this. Level 13 gives you the ability to attune to another magic item, giving you 4 at once. This is amazing. High-level magic items are busted, and the 3 attunement limit is the only thing that keeps players from becoming literal gods. But wait, there's more. Whenever you use a magic item that has charges, like the Wand of Magic Missiles, you can roll a d6, and on a 6, you don't expend any charges at all. That's a cool bonus. A potential 8th level magic missile as a bonus action for free is wild. But wait, there's even more, because you gain the ability to use any spell scroll using intelligence as your spellcasting modifier. When you do, you have to make an Arcana check, with a DC of 10 equal to the level of the spell you're trying to cast. But here's the thing, rogues have the ability Reliable Talent and the ability Expertise, so you can never fail an Arcana check if you have Expertise in Arcana and at least 8 in your intelligence. You have a 100% 100% certainty of throwing out 9th level spells. This check might as well not exist. The PHB also has rules for scribing spell scrolls, so your spellcaster buddies can just whip these up for you. Or, better yet, you can just steal them. You are a thief, after all. Finally, at level 17, you get 2 turns on the first round of combat. What? This is better than an action surge. This is 2 full turns, 2 attack actions, 2 sneak attacks, 2 bonus actions to activate a magic item, and double movement. So the Thief is amazing. In a high magic campaign with decent magic items, this thing might be top 5 subclasses in the game. Nobody else can do what this does. I also love that the mechanics of the Thief basically give you a constant quest for magic items. You're never going to be wanting for a story hook here. For all that, Thief Rogues go at the top of S tier. Sure, in the wrong campaign they might not be very good, but in the wrong campaign, any subclass would be terrible, so I'm not going to dock points for that. Okay, let's change clothes, because I recorded this over 2 days and it's a long video. We've just covered the new rogues, but there are still 5 others, and some of them kick ass. But are they still S tier? Do they still hold up? Inquisitive Rogue. At 3rd level, Inquisitive Rogues can use a bonus action to make a perception or investigation check. Oh, it's awful! I'm glad every rogue has dead parents as part of their backstory, because if they weren't dead, they would die of shame upon seeing this feature. You've got way better uses for your bonus action anyway, and if you really wanted this type of effect, the new Keen Mind and Observant feats let you do it on any build. You also get Ear for Deceit, which lets you treat any roll of a 7 or below on an insight check as an 8. This is utterly useless by the time you reach level 7, because at that point you get Reliable Talent, and then any skill you are proficient with can't roll lower than a 10. Final level 3 feature is Insightful Fighting, and this is the best one. As a bonus action, you make an insight check contested against a target's deception, and if you win, you can sneak attack against them no matter the situation, as long as you don't have disadvantage on your attack roll. So the idea is to be really good at insight, and then use a bonus action to set up sneak attack on every attack. It's okay, except better rogue subclasses have better options for setting up guaranteed sneak attacks without using a bonus action. Level 9 gives you Steady Eye, advantage on perception and investigation checks as long as you don't move more than half your movement speed on a turn. This competes horribly with Steady Aim and is pretty useless anyway. Reliable Talent plus Expertise is already giving you a minimum roll of 18 on these checks, even with a 0 in Intelligence and Wisdom. It's just not necessary. Level 13 gives you the power to take a full action to see through any illusions, shape changes, or magic made to deceive you within 30 feet. You can do this a number of times per day equal to your Wisdom modifier. It's an incredibly specific feature that's probably going to come up like 3 times across an entire campaign. Finally, at level 17, when you have your Insightful Fighting active on a creature, your sneak attack deals an additional 3d6 damage. It's okay, but it's not good. Sadly, the Inquisitive Rogue just doesn't cut it as a subclass. The things that it is best at, other rogues do way better without even trying. It goes in D tier. Phantom Rogue. Okay, so from level 3, anytime you finish a short or long rest, Phantom Rogues can gain proficiency in any skill or tool until they use this feature again. It's not bad, although some species get this feature anyway, so if you really want it, you could be an Astral Elf. Your other level 3 feature, Wails from the Grave, lets you target a second creature when you deal sneak attack damage to an enemy, and that creature takes half as much damage as the damage you dealt to the first. You can only do this a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, sadly, and the damage starts very low at only 1d6. But by the late game, it's 4 to 5d6 extra damage a turn, which patches up the rogue's biggest weak spot, that is, groups of enemies. But the big draw to the Phantom Rogue is their 9th level feature, Tokens of the Departed. Essentially, whenever a creature dies within 30 feet of you, you can snatch a fragment of their soul. You can have a number of soul trinkets equal to your proficiency bonus, and you can use them in 3 ways. 1. Whenever you have a soul trinket on your person, you have advantage on Constitution and Death saving throws. 2. Whenever you deal sneak attack damage, you can destroy one of your soul tokens to use Wails from the Grave without expending a use of it. 3. As an action, you can destroy a soul token to ask the spirit whose soul you stole it from a single question. The spirit doesn't have to answer honestly, but it's a nice bit of roleplay. Mainly, this feature translates to a bunch more uses of your Whales from the Grave, which is good, as long as you can keep killing people. At level 13, you can use a bonus action to assume a spectral form. You gain a 10-foot flying speed, you can hover, and all attack rolls against you have disadvantage. You can also move through objects and creatures, but you take 1d10 force damage if you end your turn inside a creature or object. Still, 1d10 damage is nothing compared to the safety of hiding inside a wall when it's not your turn, and then popping out to attack and retreating again. It also lasts for 10 minutes, which is a bloody good amount of time to last, honestly. You can do it once per long rest, unless you sacrifice a soul token to use it again. It lasts a long time, it's great for combat, it's great for exploration, and it's cheap to use. I love it. Finally, at level 17, you get Death's Friend. Now, when you use your Whales from the Grave, the extra damage you deal is dealt to both creatures. Essentially, this is doubling the damage of your sneak attack, split between your initial target and another creature within 30 feet. Pretty awesome. It also makes the level 17 Inquisitive Rogue feature weep with jealousy. At level 17, you also get a free soul trinket anytime you finish a long rest without one, which isn't bad. All in, this is a pretty good rogue, especially if you like murder, and especially if your GM is happy for you to carry around a sack full of cockroaches and kill one anytime you want a soul trinket. Even if that interaction gets banned, because it is admittedly very silly, they're still really good. It is a shame they start off so weak and only really get going from level 9. But still, they can chill in high B tier. Mastermind. The Mastermind rogue is all about social interactions. They only have one feature which actually interacts with combat. That feature is Master of Tactics. You can take the help action as a bonus action, and if you help an ally to attack another creature, that target can be within 30 feet of you, not just 5 feet. Giving an ally advantage on an attack roll at a distance isn't bad, but as always, your bonus action is very taxed as a rogue, and there might be better things you could be doing. Your other third level feature gives you a couple of proficiencies and the ability to mimic the speech of a creature you have observed for at least 1 minute. If that sounds familiar, you've been paying attention. The Assassin Rogue also gets this feature, but 6 levels later, and it is a little better. At level 9, Masterminds get Insightful Manipulator. You can spend 1 minute observing a creature to determine if its intelligence, wisdom, or charisma scores are higher than your own. This feature is garbage. It might as well not exist. Most NPCs don't even have stats, and even if they did, knowing if one of their stats is higher or lower than yours isn't really an advantage. Level 13 is Misdirection. When you're targeted by an attack roll while a creature within 5 feet of you is providing you cover from that attack, you can make the attack target that creature and not you. This is weird. The obvious thing to do is be a horrible person and go adventuring with a horse, which you can then sacrifice to take hits for you. You might be able to argue if you're a Lightfoot halfling, you can take cover behind one enemy and then redirect an attack from a different enemy onto them, but this interaction is dubious and requires setup. Doing this also requires you to be in close quarters with an enemy when your third level's best feature is allowing you to be a ranged rogue, so it doesn't really add up. Finally, you get Soul of Deceit at level 17, and it's trash. Sorry, but the ability to not have your mind read and have magic not be able to detect if you're lying is a low-level roleplay feature, not a level 17 reward. Thanks to Master of Tactics being okay, and Master of Intrigue providing a couple of tools proficiencies, some languages, and a fun roleplay feature, this subclass is at least better than the Inquisitive Rogue. In a low-power game, this is a fine level 3 rogue dip, but there are far better options. Masterminds can go higher than Inquisitive Rogues, but they are still in D tier, because every feature beyond level 3 is just awful. Scout. So from third level, Scouts can use a reaction to move half your movement speed away from a creature when it ends its turn within 5 feet of you without provoking opportunity attacks. This is best for ranged rogues, but it's only okay, because 1, the enemy has almost certainly already smashed your face in by this point. 2, you have Uncanny Dodge for arguably a better reaction as a rogue, and 3, you can just disengage with Cunning Action to escape on your turn turn anyway. You also get expertise in both nature and survival at level 3, which is honestly pretty awesome for a skill monkey build. Level 9 is mid, it increases your walking speed by 10 feet. Level 13 is where the scout starts cooking. You have advantage on initiative rolls, and the first creature you hit on the first round of combat gets a debuff. All attack rolls made against them until the start of your next turn have advantage. So you go first and set up your allies for success for some pretty explosive opening turns. Level 17 is your best feature. After you attack, you can attack again as a bonus action, and that bonus action attack can benefit from your sneak attack again, as long as it targets a different creature. This is dope. An extra attack plus an extra 10d6 sneak attack damage every turn is solid. The scout takes forever to get going, but there is some decent stuff here for a late game ranged rogue. It can go very high C tier. Swashbuckler. Finally, we get to the GOAT, the fan favorite pirate rogue. Swashbucklers have the most reliable sneak attack in the game, because from level 3, you can always sneak attack as long as you're within 5 feet of an enemy and don't have disadvantage on the attack. You also get a bonus to initiative rolls equal to your charisma modifier, which is awesome, and you kind of get a version of the mobile feat for free, where no creature you attack can make opportunity attacks against you. That is a stacked set of abilities for just level 3. Panache at level 9 is also awesome. As an action, you can make a persuasion check contested against a target's insight, and if you win, the target has disadvantage on all attack rolls against anyone other than you. This lasts for 1 minute, but it ends early if any of your allies attack that creature. The idea is that you peel off one target into 1v1 against only yourself. You'll be fine with your high AC, bonus action dash, and uncanny dodge, while the rest of your allies clean up the encounter and then all dogpile the big guy. Also, because this is an ability check, legendary resistances do not stop it. Pick up expertise in persuasion, and with your reliable talents, this is basically never gonna fail. You can even use it outside of combat to charm a creature for 1 minute at a time, and it has unlimited uses. This is amazing. Level 13 lets you use a bonus action to gain advantage on your next athletics or acrobatics check made that turn. This is bad, maybe you could use it to escape from a grapple. Finally, level 17 gets you Master Duelist. When you miss with an attack roll, you can roll it again at advantage. Pretty great, but it's sadly only once per short rest. Save it for when you really need to hit. Swashbuckler starts off amazing before dropping off pretty heavily from level 9. This makes it arguably the best rogue dip in the game. Swashbuckler 9 Hexblade 11 is a really good build. It's also a rogue that prioritizes charisma, not intelligence, as its secondary stat, and charisma skills are generally better to focus on, backed up with your reliable talent. Add on the fact that you can charm non-hostile creatures for free with unlimited uses, and you are arguably the best social-focused build in the game while still being a great melee combatant. I think this bad boy can sit alongside Arcane Trickster at the absolute top of the A tier. It's only held back by a weaker endgame. But if you're only playing up to level 10 or 11-ish anyway, this bad boy would definitely be in S tier. All in, this is a pretty great crop of subclasses. Sure, the rogue isn't the strongest class in the game, but with the best subclasses, it does serious work. If you want to support this channel, help make these videos possible, and get access to a ton of awesome subclasses, species, adventures, rules expansions, and more that I release every single month, consider joining on Patreon. In the chaos of the YouTube algorithm, support on Patreon and from channel members means everything. Also remember to like and subscribe, check out other videos on the channel, and yeah, that's all I got. I'll see you next time.